Welcome back. Now we'll begin the last session, that is technical session 3, improving compliance with building bylaws in hill towns. So for this session, we would request DC Rana, Director cum Special Secretary Revenue DM, to please come on the dais and chair the session. I would request Dr. Ajay Chaurasia, Chief Scientist, CBRI Roorkee, to please come on the dais and co-chair the session. We have these three speakers: Dr. Hemant Vinayak, Shri Ved Prakash Mittal, and Dr. Chaurasia. Now I'll hand over to Ms. Aditi to please conduct the proceedings. Thank you.
So as sir has already mentioned, the first speaker will be Dr. Hemant Vinayak, Assistant Professor at MIT Bhubaneswar, and he has teaching experience of more than 15 years. Dr. Vinayak has associated with Himachal Pradesh State Disaster Management Authority for more than 14 years through training of engineers of various government departments, mason training in various districts, and sponsored projects related to rapid visual screening of building and structural safety audit of buildings. He has developed various IEC material related to non-engineered earthquake resistant masonry construction, school safety, and retrofitting of non-engineered buildings. He will be speaking on current construction practices in hill towns. Next we have Shri Ved Prakash Mittal, who is retired Chief Architect and Consultant UNB. He has more than 58 years of experience in the government organization in the field of architecture and urban planning, including 20 years post-retirement, and has worked with US National Park Service team for Taj National Park. And he has, to his credit, the planning of first World Bank aided project in Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. He will be speaking on model building bylaws for Himachal Pradesh. Next, we have our co-chair, Dr. Ajay Chaurasia, Structural Engineering and 3D Concrete Printing Group at CSIR CBR Roorkee. He was a pioneer in establishing building dynamics laboratory, construction technology demonstration park, and advanced pseudodynamics lab at CBR. And many more to his credit we have. So without wasting time, I would like to hand over the stage to Shri D.C. Ranaji to lead the technical session. Over to you, sir. Yes.
Thank you so much. I think this is a very important session. We all know that the earthquakes don't kill, unsafe structures do. One of the speakers cited the example of countries like Japan, where buildings are so resilient that they are able to withstand earthquake of the magnitude of 9. That's why the question of building bylaws come. And when we talk about reducing the risk, one risk is which has already been built, and one which is being built on everyday basis. So how do we stop reducing the future risk? The answer lies in risk-sensitive land use planning and building bylaws. We have been trying very hard from the SDMA to introduce model building bylaws across the state, which are to be adopted by the urban local bodies, and also advocating with town and country planning department to have risk-based land use planning. Which area has to be categorized as sensitive high risk zone, that has to be based on hazard, risk and vulnerability assessment of that area. The three speakers who are sitting here with me, we have been working very closely with all of them. I know them personally for a very long time. Shri Ved Mittalji, who is a retired chief architect from Delhi government and UP government, and he is currently consultant with UNDP. So we worked with him way back in 2012 and framed model building bylaws for the state, which were to be adopted by the all urban local bodies. But unfortunately, we have not succeeded. That agenda with the state executive, it is still live. And today he is here. We have some sort of difference of opinion with the town and country planning department and EUD. They say that the rules which TCP has adopted should have been further adopted by the urban local bodies, but we don't agree with that. The building bylaws have to be in conformity with the national building codes, which are prescribed for zone 4 and 5. And I have requested Shri Ved Mittalji to go through the rules which the TCP is adopting and the model building bylaws which we have framed in 2012. Second, Dr. Hemant Vinayak is here. He is working with us for a very long time, and he has studied construction practices in Himachal, so he will highlight the deficiencies which he has noticed. Dr. Ajay Chaurasia has been again working with us, and he has been working with us on preparing DPR for retrofitting of buildings. So we have received DPR for around 40 structures, and I think in the times to come, the PWD will be working on implementing that. Why building bylaws are important? Why we need to focus on safe construction practices? I'll give you example of two earthquakes. How safe construction practices can change the entire scenario. In 2010, two earthquakes happened in the world. One was Haiti earthquake, which happened on 12th January 2010, and second was Chile earthquake, which happened on 22nd February 2010. Same year, after a gap of almost a month. The magnitude of Haiti earthquake was 7.7, and Chile it was 8.8. Time of origin was 4:53 hours as far as Haiti is concerned, and in the afternoon when everybody is awake and active. And the Chile earthquake happened at 3:30 hours, early morning when most of us are asleep. The population of Haiti was 99.93 lakh and Chile 1.71 crore. Intensity in Haiti was 8 to 9 in MMI scale, but in Chile the intensity was 10. And now see the deaths. Deaths in Haiti was 3.16 lakh. 3.16 lakh died. And in Chile it was just 525. So when we are talking about the safe construction practices, this is what can make a difference. In Japan, they say if earthquake happens, go inside the building. And what do we say in India? Everybody rushes outside the building because we don't have confidence in our buildings. Not that our engineers are not that competent or they are not doing that good job. But in private sector, of course, there is a lot of challenge. So with these opening remarks, I will request our first speaker, Dr. Hemant Vinay, who is now Associate Professor with NIT Hamirpur, and he'll share some of the examples of current construction practices in the town of Himachal. Dr. Vinay.
Second one, you will rarely find the bands in the case of all these masonry constructions, and then one of those particular stone masonries without any bands. My journey with HPSDM started in 2009 with training programs under this program of NPCGR, and at that time we used to have discussion with HPSDM regarding some project. They already knew that the structures are not earthquake resistant, but let us have some documentation. So it was at that particular time, there was a project small, and we documented that look, these are the different structures at various locations, which doesn't talk about any bands, no column steep, opening distances as per the codal provisions of IS 4326, nobody is talking about. And this is the construction practice. Later on, under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to Urban Development UD, we gave them all those particular drawings for confined masonry, for masonry structures, for RCC, whatever the plans they got approved from the TCP. But I would always say that in further slides also you will see that I always say that whatever the codal provisions we talk about, the compliances, they are all on papers and there are issues with implementation in the ground. So what you can see is that all these particular constructions were being carried out under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and only in one building where my student was involved, he basically somehow convinced that put up these particular lintel bands, corner strings and so on. This is the simple. We are always saying that kindly go for masonry constructions when you are talking about single story, double or triple, because when it comes to the RCC structures, that requires design, which is hardly being carried out by any of the owner either in the rural areas basically. So when you talk about masonry structures or either confined masonry, you don't talk about any soil testing much, no calculations, there are standard provisions are there, just follow it and get your construction done as per the layout. And you talk about all those lintel bands, roof bands, plain bands. Search for mason practicing earthquake resistant features. What you are seeing, even in my case, we are doing some structural safety audit of schools. So you are seeing some just two schools without any bands. There is one house without any band, but another is with bands. So what I can suggest at this particular time is that although various training programs have been conducted, but in Himachal Pradesh, along with PCC Cement, we try to get that information that there are approximately, and that too I am talking about a figure of some 4 years back, that there were around 25,000 masons. So it is all up to the panchayats to get them trained as in the phase-wise manner, so that we can talk about the earthquake resistant feature in the houses. These are some of the pictures of training programs conducted with the rat trap on vertical steel. But what was observed was that there is a system of RCC construction which the masons are already familiar with, and when you try to tell them that look, go for rat trap on or talk about bands, they find it very difficult to absorb those these kind of construction practices. It was then later on, in Himachal Pradesh there are around 15,000 schools. In 2007, when the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan schools came up with huge construction, what was observed was that although what was frozen was the specifications to use the material, कि भाई सीमेंट की टेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए, रेत की टेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए, बजरी की टेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए. But what was neglected was construction practice, and we had been emphasizing to the education department to kindly involve us in the construction practice, checking of the construction practice, but they said that that was not in the mandate. And so this is the reason that what pictures school, 90 schools were surveyed, and this is what the IC which was developed at that time, plaster ka chalna. Maybe this is, I've got, yeah, after this. This is the one, Vikran Nani ke diagonal tracks. The diagonal tracks because शटरिंग के लिए जितना टाइम देना चाहिए था सपोर्ट के लिए लिंटर लेवल पे वो दिया गया. इमारत में जोड़, द वर्टिकल जॉइंट इश्यूज, फर्श के अंदर में अनियमितता मींस देयर वाज वाटर सीमेंट रेशियो इज अ इशू. आरसीसी सर्वर में अगेन इन द केस ऑफ अगेन इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस यू ऑलवेज फाइंड you go to any schools and then you will find all these kind of cracks generating from the corners of the. You get construction done in two ways.